Welcome to LR-Mania Reviews, and today I'm going to be reviewing two shows off the WWE Network. The first one is the third episode of WWE 24, which is called Roman Reigns Never Alone, and then the next show will be NXT Takeover Fatal 4-Way, which took place in September of 2014. So both those shows will be reviewed. The first of which will be the WWE 24 episode. One thing off the bat, I just laughed my ass off in the opening of the show, Roman Reigns Never Alone. They have Roman Reigns talking in the back before he goes out for WrestleMania 31. So that's where this takes place. The whole show is about following him around San Jose during WrestleMania 31 weekend. And before he goes out, this might be the only WrestleMania I ever main event. Full of shit. He main evented the next two. So the show, they show him at the Royal Rumble and him getting booed out of the building. It's funny. It's just hilarious how the WWE, after the show, I don't know if it was on this show, but I remember seeing Vince McMahon in the back with Michael Hayes, and he's telling him, it's just one city. You can't change your mind after one city. And this is just such bullshit. I don't feel like getting into a big rant about Roman Reigns, but, I know his brother just died, who's going to be in this documentary, but I'll get to that later. It's just so... Yeah, it's such bullshit. It's like as if they control the narrative. They put out all this Roman Reigns merchandise to show, oh, look, he sells a whole bunch of merchandise because they want him to. It's not because they give everyone else equal treatment. They chose him to be their handpicked guy, and it's just so funny. It's as if they just do it so the merchandise sells so they can control the narrative. And here, they're at the Royal Rumble, and they're demonizing the fans, and it's just like, whatever. They're making it just like it's a few sections of the fans. It's funny how worse it is right now than it is 2 years ago. Another thing, they're showing him with his family right now, and watching this back right now, it's been about a few weeks since his brother Matt Anoa'i, who is better known as Rosie for his time in WWE. You'll know him as 2 Minute Warning when he was with Jamal, who was later Umaga, who's also passed away. I enjoyed, or 3 Minute Warning, not 2. I liked that gimmick. I thought it was good for a while with Eric Bischoff. And, of course, I think Jamal got released for a while. And then Rosie was paired with the Hurricane. And I thought that was funny. I actually found a lot of humor in that. And, look, he was not, a big star or anything. But, he was I enjoyed his work. I found him to be a likable big guy in the company. And, unfortunately, he passed away at only 47 years old. And I'm watching him at the dinner table. And, hey, man, I hate saying this right now, but he doesn't look, in the greatest shape. And this was about 3 years ago. And I know in 2014 he had a health scare, pretty bad health scare in 2014. So, it's very sad watching this right now and watching their family. They're showing Sika, who's the father, who's one of the legendary Wild Samoans, and they're showing his sisters, his mother. So, yeah, definitely it's really sympathetic watching this right now, knowing that I think this was recorded more than 2 years ago, and 2 years later, the older brother Matt, Rosie, has passed away. They really concentrate a lot on his football career in this episode, and I find that pretty interesting. They really show that. I don't know if they really allude to it, but his real goal was to be in the NFL and not really be in the WWE, but that's fine. And one thing I know is brother Rosie, I think he was also a football player, and they both wanted to make it to the NFL, and they didn't quite get there, or neither got there. And in Roman's case, he plays for the Georgia Tech Blue Jackets in college, which is I think that is a Division I college football team. So he was talented to get there, but he did make it in the CFL, but not in the NFL. One part of this documentary I really laughed at was, this is pre-WrestleMania 31, and during the show, we all remember Triple H's Terminator entrance. So before the show, they show all the wrestlers kind of waiting around, and on the stage, in the rehearsals is Brock, and I just thought it was hilarious to see him standing there, and then all of a sudden one of those Terminator robots pops up, and you just see him looking at it like an awe. I just thought that was really funny. One thing that is absolute bullshit is I just hate how they manipulate the fans, and I hate how they change the narrative. They're making it as if the fans were booing them that night. They were booing. They were cheering him that night. They were booing him out of the building. It was terrible. They were just booing him like crazy. And it's as if they show fan reactions, as if they're cheering him. It's just such bullshit and such manipulation. And if a casual fan watches this, they're going to think the opposite. But of course, the WWE is just controlling the narrative. I guess they really can't show Seth Rollins' curb stomp. I might never main event WrestleMania again. This could be my only one. Bullshit. So after watching the show, I like Joe Anoa'i a lot. I mean, he seems like a really good guy. He comes across as a likable family man. His daughter seems really, she's a really sweet girl. His wife seems nice. She's hot. His family comes off as nice. His brother, unfortunately, passed away, comes off nice. His sisters come off nice. And, he has a lot of good moments with his daughter. And, of course, they're really touching. And he has some moments with the nice kids. The problem is Roman Reigns. Not Joe Anoa'i. Joe Anoa'i seems like a nice guy. Roman Reigns has been shoved down all our throats. He's the hand-picked guy. And, it doesn't matter how much the fans reject him. I don't think the fans really hate him. It's just they're rejecting the booking of him. The fact that he's being shoved down our throats. And that's really the big problem. However, overall, to talk about the documentary, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good produced. I liked how it took place at WrestleMania 31. I really liked the edits during the Brock Lesnar part, especially the third part of the document. So, overall, I mean, the human being seems like a guy. It's just the problem is the character, and that's really the problem with Roman Reigns. That's what I have. But the documentary, good show, good documentary. I enjoyed it. I thought it was definitely better than the Booker T one. I loved the New Orleans one, not as good as that, but still very, I would say, really good. So I really enjoyed it. Well produced. I like WrestleMania documentaries. I've always been, I love WrestleMania, so I really like shows that take place during the show of WrestleMania, and I really enjoyed it. So another strong documentary for WWE 24, and a second good one. Again, loved the first one. Second was okay. This one was very good. Now let's get to NXT Takeover Fatal 4-Way. I like the opening of the video. They basically showed the WWE opening, and then instead they replaced it with NXT superstars. It was all the women. They showed Alexa Bliss, they showed Bayley, they showed Charlotte, they showed Sasha Banks. So it was kind of cool how they had it interfere during the WWE opening. So the first match was Kalisto and Sin Cara against The Ascension, and they had a good match. This was a good opener. It was really entertaining. Started off slow, but then once Kalisto and Sin Cara really got to use their big high spots, dives out of the ring, it got really good. And the third part of the match was really, really entertaining. And it's dragged a bit at the first, but it got really exciting. And new tag champs, thank goodness. Connor sucks. Victor was okay here, but yeah, this was Kalisto and Sin Cara showcase. And it's sad, Kalisto's been terrible on the main roster. We knew Sin Cara wasn't going to go anywhere. And they didn't stay as a tag team very long. So, they didn't do too much after this, but this was a really nice moment. It was a really hot way to start the show, so it was a good match. They had Baron Corbin kill CJ Parker. CJ Parker was released shortly after. He sucked. Corbin is definitely one of their hand-picked guys, so he's doing okay on the main roster. So Enzo Amore and Sylvester Lafort had a match, and obviously before the match, you see Enzo and Cass, and this is really when they're starting to get into their groove and really getting good on the mic. And I remember Enzo being out for a while, and now he was healthy, and they're really, this is really their beginnings of really starting to get, very over with the crowd. So, they put the bucket on Marcus Louis instead of Sylvester Lafort. They eventually got Lafort later on some NXT episodes, but I guess people wanted to see Louis get it, or Lafort get it shaved, not Louis, but it was what it was. It was pretty cool. The crowd popped. It was fun to see that bucket spot. They had Bull Dempsey destroy Mojo Rawley. I guess, this was when Mojo was being fed plates of shit. That's changed now, and one thing I noticed, I think there's a rib on Mojo. They have him wear green, like bright green, to show that he's green. Very, clever rib. Charlotte and Bayley's next. I'm just thinking to myself, they did such a good job of building up Bayley, and they've really fucked it up on the main roster. Giving her the belt so soon was such a stupid mistake, and they should have really built it up for about 2 to 3 years. had so much potential as in Bayley, and they did such a great job on NXT. And I remember watching it here in September of 2014, and I want to see her win it so bad, and they held it off for 11 months, and then when she beat Sasha in Brooklyn, it was just such an awesome moment, and they really, they dropped the ball big with her, but hopefully they can still revive her and try to do something, but they, I think they fucked up. Charlotte and Bayley had a good match, not a great match, but they would go on to have much better matches. It was pretty good. I like how they really teased with Bayley again, and eventually she got her moment. But this was a nice tease, a nice, good way to start long-term booking, and it ended up being a good match. Not great. Of all the NXT women's matches, this wasn't, on takeovers. This probably was closer to the weaker side than the best. Certainly not one of the best, but it was a good match. Not a memorable match, but they had a good match. The main event was excellent, as everyone expected going into it. When this match was first announced 3 years ago, I just knew this is going to be a classic, and it was. This match was just great. It was awesome. It was very long, very action-packed. It had some parts where it set stuff up. It wasn't too over the top. I was thinking this might be just crazy-ass spot after spot after spot. The main event, another thing I loved about it was the fact that it set up the next show, which was Our Evolution, which was a great show, and that set up Neville and Sami's in. One thing I love about it is they teased Neville and Sami having a match. Whenever they were in the ring together, the crowd would be nuts, but they never really did anything with it. They were in the ring together, but not long. They did a great job teasing you wanting more, and that's what the show did. Two things I really love about NXT were Sami Zayn's story and Bayley's story. We both really want to see them get their big, epic moment, and Fatal 4-Way is a show that's like a great setup show. Eventually, we're going to get that. We're going to get there, but it's going to be a ride, and that makes you want to hooks you on NXT. Those are, I think, were probably two of the most likable characters on NXT were Sami Zayn and Bayley, and to get back to the main event, I mean, they had so many great parts to it. There was one part where Sami Zayn was going for a suicide dive, and then Neville, stopped him on the apron, and then he did a springboard moonsault to everyone. That was just badass. And then I love in the end, where they kind of turned Neville heel, and then of course the next few months he would go full-fledged heel for Our Evolution. But just a great match, great main event, and a good show. The first hour of the show felt like an hour-long episode of NXT. It felt like I was watching NXT. The stuff with Enzo and Cass was good, but that didn't feel like a pay-per-view quality stuff. The stuff with Hideo Itami, that was cool. Again, doesn't necessarily feel like a special event. It really felt like a glorified version of NXT the first hour. The second hour, Charlotte and Bayley had a good match, not a great match. And then, of course, the main event was just excellent. I love that main event. That was just one of the best matches in NXT history. So, because of the main event, it was a good show. Not as good as the first NXT Takeover, but on the level, maybe a little slightly below Arrival, because Arrival felt like more of a special kind of show. But it was a good show. Not the best NXT Takeover, but a good one.